Welcome to Montana's People's Energy Rally. I'm Jeff Smith. I'm the co-chair of 350 Missoula. And I want to thank my fellow organizers, my colleagues at 350 Missoula, the Blue Skies campaign, and the University of Montana's Climate Action Now, and the Reinvest Montana campaign. We are here today with one clear, crisp message, and it is, keep it in the ground. The Nobel Prize-winning Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the British Royal Society, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, the World Bank, the U.S. Defense Department, and the International Energy Agency have all come up with the exact same conclusion, and that is the message, which is our message. Keep it in the ground. Fossil fuel companies have identified $27 trillion worth of fossil fuel assets. But scientists tell us that if we allow these companies to dig up, transport, refine, and incinerate all of these assets, we're on our way toward bursting through our target of keeping temperatures below 2 degrees Celsius. If we burn all of the Otter Creek coal, the Alberta tar sands, Bakken oil, and fracked gas we've identified, we're on our way to 4 to 6 degrees Celsius. We're on our way to giving our children and grandchildren an unlivable planet. These are the stakes. That is why we are here to speak out. That is why we have this message. Keep it in the ground. The definition of insanity is that while the fossil fuel companies have identified $27 trillion, and at least $20 trillion of that needs to stay in the ground, they are spending $1.8 billion a day exploring for new fossil fuels. We say, keep it in the ground. We are all the children of John Muir. We all know deep down that we are a part of nature and that we ignore this truth at our peril. Many of us live here because we are part of Montana. Her mountains, rivers, streams, fields, farms, birds, bears, forests, lakes, harlequin ducks, parks, and Montana backyards on afternoons like today. This is the last best place. Let's not make it the last best sacrifice zone. To do that, our message is simple. Keep it in the ground. We can do better. We have a plan. We have the technology. We have the money. We have the workers. We have the power lines. This great transition to renewable energy and prosperity starts with our message. Keep it in the ground. One last thing. The environmental impact statements we've seen so far for the Keystone Pipeline and the Tongue River Railroad, and much of the discussion at conferences like this, are fueled by cynicism. The idea that Montana's fossil fuels will be burned anyway. There is nothing to be done. Don't worry about it. Let's make some money. We say to those deniers with pockets full of Koch brothers cash, these Madison Avenue merchants of doubt, These politicians who say they see climate change every day and then vote for every fossil fuel development, every pipeline, every new coal port and transportation route, no matter how dangerous to our communities, we say to them, there's a strong wind blowing. It's the same wind that separated us from the great British kings, the same wind that ended slavery, that brought Jeanette Rankin to Congress and women the right to vote, that trimmed the sails of the speculators during the first Gilded Age, that brought unparalleled prosperity to the middle class. It's the Hellgate wind, and it begins here. It begins now, and it begins with this message. Keep it in the ground. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Gillian Ellison, who's a sophomore in environmental studies, president of UN Climate Action Now.
Thank you so much for coming. It's so great to see everybody here. This is how change happens. All of us showing up today, holding our signs and listening and talking with each other. And why are we gathered here today? I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea. We're here because the climate is changing, but more so because all of us here, outside and inside, and humans around the world have the ability to alter the future of our planet. Yeah. As president of Climate Action Now, I've had the privilege to work with inspiring, innovative, and passionate, can't forget passion. I think that is a really big component to the community members and students and faculty and staff that I've gotten to work with over my 2 years at this university. Since CAN's inception, we have focused on helping the university reach its 2020 carbon neutrality goal and reach a more sustainable campus community. One of the most powerful and personally most influential aspect of working with CAN has been the development of a personal definition of sustainability, which I would like to share with you all today. Sustainability is the intentionality of individuals, communities, governments, and societies to provide current and future generations with an environment conducive to biological and cultural diversity through the continual devotion to social, environmental, and economic equity. Now, as I see it, the only way that we are going to achieve this goal and vision of our young and passionate college students, community members, and grandchildren, I don't have any, but I know I have grandparents, is if we do keep fossil fuels in the ground. No more coal, no more oil, no more coal, wow, no more coal, no more oil. Real divestment is our goal. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Bryony Schwan. She was the founder of Women's Voices for the Earth and has worked for a long time for the Biomimicry Institute, is also on the faculty at the University of Montana. Yeah.
I'm here today to talk a little bit about the people that are most impacted by climate change, and those are people who are on the front lines of the toxic polluting industries, that are on the edges of poverty, that are most impacted by climate change. Today, as leaders from Montana and Asia meet to discuss solutions for the future, I would like to urge them to move away from the global expansion of fossil fuel development and consider real, just, and equitable solutions. Solutions that move away from an economy of endless growth that exploits people and nature, and to one that seeks harmony between people and nature. We need genuine climate action, not a pep rally pushing carbon trading offsets and weak voluntary pledges for emission cuts. We need a system that links climate and human rights, that recognizes the rights of indigenous peoples and the self-determination of frontline communities. Our beautiful planet cannot sustain the increasing greed, consumption, extraction, pollution, and waste associated with the 1%. We must have a new system that addresses the needs of the majority and not of the few. We need climate solutions that protect communities first and most, impacted by the storms, the floods, the fires, and the droughts. The same communities that are at the forefront of the fight against the pollution, the poverty, the police violence, the land grabs, the water shutoffs, the forced migration, and the human rights violations symptomatic of the climate crisis. To world leaders attending the summit, we ask that you support and move resources to community-led solutions and priorities, local infrastructure needs to build sustainable economies, energy democracy, zero waste, food justice, public transit, and affordable housing. Pathways that create millions of long-term jobs and put these communities back to work and keep the coal in the ground.
Next, Caitlin Pisercha and Simon Dykstra are UM students and organizers for the Reinvest Montana campaign.
Hello all, thanks for coming. I'd like to start by expressing my support of the summit's effort to bring people together. We consider it important and necessary for this conversation to be had. And in the name of constructive dialogue, I'd like to add some thoughts. We live in a time where booms of oil and natural gas spread throughout the United States, and the world remains deeply dependent on the burning of fossil fuels. It is a time in which global carbon emissions continue to increase. It is a time where increased consumption thickens the blanket of smog resting in our atmosphere. It is a time in which ocean water advances up the banks of low-lying nations and forces people out of their homes. We all know these issues, not all through firsthand experience, but through the verdicts of scientists and by outcries of frontline communities such as the Navajo, Hopi, Beaver Lake Cree, Metis, Northern Cheyenne, Crow, Fort Berthold, and other peoples whose lands are being polluted and invaded by extractive industries. There are also the islanders from the Tutun Atoll, the Maldives, Tuvalu, Kiribati, the Marshall Islands, who are in danger of becoming climate refugees. Milan Loic, daughter of the president of the Marshall of the president of the Marshall Islands, said this: "Climate change is not something we learn in school anymore. We are living it. Our current economy and many of the people who run it do not empathize with these people. On the contrary, they are largely ignored." Reinvest Montana has been organizing for over a year now, trying to persuade the Foundation officials, who are in that building, to drop investments in fossil fuel industry and redirect that money into climate solutions, into renewable energy, and into sustainable local businesses. As an institution, invests money from donors on the stock market to grow our endowment. Right now, the Foundation is investing approximately $7 to $12 million in the multinational fossil fuel industry. Today and tomorrow, students will vote on whether or not to officially endorse divestment as a student body. And for all the students here, if you log on to CyberBear, you can vote, and voting ends at 8 p.m. on Thursday. As community members, you are also an important constituency. You can also support this effort. I'm excited to announce the launch of a new fund, the Climate Action Fund, a project of 350 Missoula and Reinvest Montana. The fund is meant as an incentive for the Foundation to divest. If the foundation decides to divest from fossil fuels, the balance of the fund will go to them. If they do not, the money will go directly to support the Student Cluster Revolving Energy Loan Fund and future student climate activism. There are a couple students with pledge cards if you'd like to donate. Raise your hands, clipboard students. Tommy? Brett? He wants to know. Oh, great.
Tommy.
Thank you. We want a new economy, one without the need for ecocide and without built-in social inequality. We are here today to say that we do not support all the above energy strategies. We are here to say that we as Missoulians and Montanans stand in solidarity with those being directly impacted by the fossil fuel industry. We are here to voice our discontent with the economic status quo that favors the profit of the few over the needs of the many. Right now, hundreds of students across the country are staging sit-ins to achieve campus fossil fuel divestment. They're motivated by an understanding that continued mass fossil fuel extraction in an era of climate change is a gross violation of human rights. They believe that extraction in an era of climate change, they believe universities should be investing their money in infrastructure that will support a sustainable economy rather than collapsing fossil fuel economy. They also believe that continuing to invest money from donors in fossil fuel companies is both an active and a political choice. At we're facing that exact choice. Yes, a number of Montanans depend on the oil and gas industry to make a living, but the answer is not for educational institutions to continue blindly investing in the fossil fuel sector. The oil industry has always followed boom and bust cycles. It is not known for its job security. Besides, the oil and coal industries, what is it with those two words together? It's weird. Oil and coal industries are on the decline right now. We need to invest in the kind of infrastructure that can support a transition to a renewable energy economy. The transition is going to happen eventually. We should choose it. We should choose to facilitate a just and humane transition rather than a jarring, unjust one. So here we are, at a crucial moment in time, with decisions to be made in the future of how we provide energy to the people. How should we as a university that has a powerful voice within the public arena proceed? Yes, you can, but listen up. One plan of action is to keep saying the same thing, that we will continue investing in the very companies that propagate the damages felt by frontline communities. That we would rather put our faith in CEOs banking on business as usual rather than in our own climate solutions. Or we could divest. We could stand up and say we disapprove of how the fossil fuel industry operates. We could say enough, no more. No more will we idle our hands when we need to be building a new economy. No more will we bet against our own future. No more. Thank you.
Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground.
Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground.
Then join us. From the beginning of the student divestment campaign, students have showed enthusiasm and support for divestment. But continues to invest in fossil fuels. Students are the heart and future of this university. Our voices should matter, and we need to keep being loud on this issue. One of UM's 4 core values is sustainability. Another is leadership. As a university, we aim to prepare students for the global century. We have a strong climate change studies program and a reputation for environmental leadership. aims to be carbon neutral by 2020. Reinvest Montana students were asked early on if we'd consider dropping the divestment part of our campaign. Reinvestment isn't something that is hard for people to get behind. Our answer was no. Reinvestment is an important step, but it doesn't go far enough. If we choose to continue investing in the fossil fuel industry, we are undermining our other efforts to counter climate change. Carbon neutrality requires divestment. We need to invest in our capacity for resilience, for recreating an economy that values life over growth, that exists within the real limits of the earth, that respects human life and the lives of other species. There's no place in that vision for investing in climate change. We're here at this rally to show that Missoulians and students want fossil fuels left in the ground. At the summit today and tomorrow, let's talk with people from all sides of the issue about the future of energy policy. But don't forget all the people who aren't at the table. Don't imagine we all have equal power to make a difference. And when we think about compromising, we need to be very aware of whose values we're prioritizing.
No compromise.
We need boldness. We need climate action now. It makes sense to me that administrators would be hesitant to divest, that many leaders in government and business would be reluctant to promote change. Some of them are, but there are still too few. When you've been doing the same thing for years, it starts to feel normal. But we need to keep up this worldwide momentum for change and amplify it. We need to reflect it in our actions and in our words. We need to decide this issue is important enough that we will move forward despite discomfort. We need to use the power we have and demand change. Yes, we all have a part to play in solving the climate crisis, but we are not equally impacted and we are not equally responsible. We especially need those in a position of power to step it up. Business leaders, politicians, and institutions, don't put your money and faith in the fossil fuel industry. We need to prioritize the fate of people on the front lines over less urgent concerns of powerful people. They need to prioritize life over short-term profit. I don't really like speaking in front of people, and challenging authority makes me nervous. But I've been inspired to find a way around my fears. I've been amazed at the potential of the international divestment movement, and I've been amazed at the potential of the worldwide movement for climate justice. Seeing other people rise up has made me bolder. We are working for the kinds of things worth fighting for personal and community empowerment, for clean air, for intact ecosystems, for interconnection. Organizing is an act of love. And especially for young people, this is the fight of our lives. As long as people can't drink clean water, breathe clean air, as long as people have their destinies decided for them by powerful corporations and oil-hungry countries, we will not stop raising our voices. We have an amazing movement of people around the world. We have amazing momentum from students at this university. Don't stop fighting for what you value. Don't stop raising your voices. And when we say can't stop, you say won't stop. Can't stop!
Won't stop!
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 Our last speaker is Megan Brown. She's a student at the University of Montana and a volunteer organizer with the Blue Skies campaign.
All right, thank you, Jeff. This mic is kind of a trip. I'm already a loud person, so I apologize if this is kind of, I don't know, too fuzzy. But yeah, like Jeff said, my name is Megan, and I'm talking on behalf of Blue Skies campaign. We're a grassroots organization working to protect Montanans against coal pollution and building a more sustainable economy built on renewable energy sources. Montana is one of the... Montana is one of the largest untapped coal reserves in the lower 48. If we burn even a fraction of this coal, it'll result in catastrophic climate change. Montana has the power to be a leader in renewables and energy efficiency. We shouldn't be degrading our land and sending it overseas to a market whose consumption in coal is declining, along with our life expectancy because of coal. We can learn from places like Butte, who have already been degraded and have their land ruined and their water sources dirty and killing and diseasing people all over. It's a town of 30,000, and I can easily name like 10 people that have cancer. This is directly linked to extracting our resources, and the results continue to hurt Montanans. Sorry, my notes here. The coal pollution is affecting Northsiders and all Missoulians alike, and all through towns that are affected in the northwestern ports. We can see this in coal traffic that's hurting up the traffic congestion. It's noise pollution, it's air pollution. There's people who don't even want to farm for vegetables to feed their family that are living in the north side because of the coal pollution. In addition to the diesel exhaust, this is really filthy, and it's increasing allergies and asthma and other kind of ill-born diseases. We have the power to stop this and to invest in renewable energies and a smarter economy. So keep it in the ground. Thank you.
Keep it in the ground! Keep it in the ground! Keep it in the ground!
Keep it in the ground! Keep it in the ground! Keep it in the ground! Keep it in the ground! Thank you all for coming. The one last announcement is that the Tongue River Railroad environmental impact statement has been published. There is time for public comment, a very short amount of time. Please do not leave here by grabbing one of those sign-in sheets for the Tongue River Railroad and express your opinion that that railroad is a mistake. We don't need that railroad. We don't want the coal trains coming through Missoula, coming through Montana. Thank you again for coming.